global gathering of geneticists comes together in Colorado, thousands of researchers are on site for ASHG 2024 to debut and review this year's cutting-edge science. Only ASHG TV is showcasing how. Welcome back to our third and final day together in Denver. I'm Autria Godfrey, your host of ASHG TV. Today, we turn our attention to the ASHG's advocacy efforts and the incredible work of our industry partners. We'll take a closer look at the most pressing ethical and social challenges facing the genetics field today and how ASHG's advocacy efforts are addressing them.
There's a lot of concern around sort of medical misinformation and the misinterpretation of science, and so we're actually pretty involved in trying to figure out how we can better message to the public to make sure that they're as informed as possible.
Plus, we hear from one industry partner about the benefits of collaborating with ASHG.
What I really like about partnering with the ASHG group is that you bring other industry partners in as well.
And we highlight the hits of the week with Dr. Bruce Gelb as we look back on ASHG 2024.
The award session that we had for the Lifetime Achievement Award, not too many dry eyes in the house.
And finally today, we wrap up our tour of the institutions bringing genetics research into the next generation with international stops. To Abu Dhabi we go. We are packing a punch on this final day and want to make sure you never miss a minute. From here in the Convention Center to your computer, ASHG TV is everywhere at your fingertips. You can find the latest ASHG TV episode airing on the TVs here in the Convention Center, on the in-house channels at our local partner hotels, on the homepage of the ASHG meeting website, and on our social media channels, so make sure you like and subscribe to get all the ASHG TV content right at your fingertips. Whether it's growing and engaging the member community within ASHG or informing and educating the general public about the benefits of human genetics and genomics research, there are committees hard at work doing both. Dr. Christina Valianatos and Dr. Carl Smith are here now in studio to explain how. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to get started with each of you and the goal of your committees. Dr. Smith?
So the Membership Engagement Committee, simple goals there really. One is to grow the membership, whether it's from academics, clinicians, industry, kind of the full scope. And for the existing members, making sure that there's more to engage with throughout the year, not just the meeting, but building those connections 365 days a year really.
And for public engagement?
Yes, the Public Engagement and Awareness Committee, or PEAK as we call it, is really the Society's connection into the community. So our goal is to inform and to engage the general public about the importance of human genetics and genomics research. So our main audience is students and teachers, but also the media, as well as policymakers. And we even strive to help train ASHG members in communicating and connecting into the public as well.
I feel like that's a pretty tall order. Where do you find are some of the biggest misconceptions about the genetics industry, and how do you tackle that?
Yeah, absolutely. Genetics is quite complex, so I feel like there can be a lot of liberties that are taken, when people are trying to think about genetics and really understand all the complexities and nuance. One that I find a lot in my work and on the committee is kind of the concept of genetic determinism, that really there's a lot of emphasis put on I have this gene variance and I will have this outcome. So to tackle that, we try to really have very clear messaging and to distill the concepts as simply as possible while retaining as much information as possible as well.
Creating that awareness at an early age.
Absolutely.
That's great. Dr. Smith, what are some of the initiatives that your committee is currently working on to try to grow member engagement?
It's quite a lot really. I think what we find is that a lot of people sign up for the benefits of the meeting and publication to try and understand why is that, and really it's about getting people together, mixing with people that you might not otherwise meet. So I think what we're trying to figure out is what does that look like beyond the meeting. I think this possibly ties in quite well with kind of the public engagement side of things as well. As we're trying to get more from industry in particular, is understanding, well, what's that skill set that maybe doesn't exist so much in the research community that might actually be able to help to that end. And a lot of that might be on, we've got marketers, commercial people whose job are really to talk science and make it attractive. So thinking about, well, what are those transferable skills that maybe, let's say if you're setting up a lab, you need to learn about project management, you might want to learn how to promote your own work a little bit better.
I know there's a big focus on making sure that we're keeping people engaged and we're continuing to work outside of this annual meeting, but I want to ask, how do you utilize this annual meeting and having everybody all together and face-to-face to kind of bolster your growth and engagement? Question for each of you.
Sure. I think one of the most exciting things about being at this meeting is just hearing all the latest and greatest science and, of course, interfacing with all the other members. So to try to keep that energy up, really being an ambassador for our committee and being an ambassador for the field, and talking with each other about the different opportunities that we could have during this meeting and also after to share all this wonderful science that we're learning about here.
I feel like that would be fascinating to be a judge. And
fun.
yeah, and Dr. Smith?
Pretty much the same thing. It's such a good opportunity to talk to people, meet people, ask people who aren't members, not why aren't you a member, but like what would you need to see? What would make you want to take that step? I think with the introduction of the special interest groups as well, those are a great opportunity to just have informal conversations about stuff that you're passionate about with other people who are passionate about it.
Worth it. Yeah. Well, thank you both for all the work that you're doing, and thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The society has updated and had a refresh of their strategic plan, and so at the same time, the committees and the GPAC committee updated our plans as well. And we just made sure we were doing things more specific to what the goals were of the new strategic update for ASHG. And so what's really exciting is we've added some very specific things and partnerships to make sure that we can be as effective as we can in advocacy. We have a lot of outreach efforts with, again, we have partner societies, coalitions that we're involved in, that we're members of. And so again, for broad issues that are important for advocacy in general, we then can band together and have a much bigger group to move forward. But specifically for advocacy issues for genetics and genomics, we have a strong partner with NHGRI. Really importantly now, we're going to have to make sure we have bipartisan engagement, which we always try to do, no matter what's happening in Washington.
I think it's great that the ASHG has the Professional Practice and Social Implications Committee. There's a lot of science happening here. We're probably the largest group of geneticists in terms of industry, academic, and also genetic counselors in the community. And so we're really going to be driving the science of the future. And so I think it's important that we think about not just the impact of the science, but also the societal impact and benefits of the work that we're doing here. One of the things that we're going to look at is the larger biobanks that have been developed that are now starting to return results to patients or consumers. So there's some real ethical issues about how we deploy that. There's a lot of concern around sort of medical misinformation and the misinterpretation of science. And so we're actually pretty involved in trying to figure out how we can better message to the public to make sure that they're as informed as possible. And then as more clinical trials start to develop, it's really important that those trials are available and feel inclusive and equitable to the entire population and not just subsets that might traditionally gravitate to those trials historically.
One of the things that's very important is we have an advocacy training group that lasts a year, and we have cohorts of about 10 or 12 ASHG members that want to learn more about advocacy. And we've done that for the last 4 or 5 years, but we've done it again this year. What's really interesting is some of our graduates of that program helped us do a webinar, how to be an advocate. How do you do that? And because a lot of people don't really know what goes into it.
I think it's really important for those of us who do research to think about the impact beyond the abstract or the presentation we have at meetings like this. And so if you want to participate in advocacy, there's lots of opportunities to do that, to really help learn to take the science outside of the narrow focus we sometimes have and really communicate it to our stakeholders, patients, politicians, the community, and really make sure that the science has the biggest impact possible.
I believe the Emirati Genome Program is crucial to achieving the UAE ambitious vision of providing world-class healthcare for its citizens. My hope is to see the continuous expansion of the genomic application to address key health challenges, paving the way for a healthier future for all.
The insights gained from the Emirati Genome Program could help reduce the prevalence of genetic diseases, improve the efficiency of treatments and empower citizens with knowledge about their genetic health.
It will encourage engagement with the research community, academic research, as well as into industry participants who can facilitate the development of personalized medicines.
We aim to create a healthcare model that serves as a blueprint for the world, showcasing how genomics can be harnessed to transform healthcare systems globally.
Actually, this is PacBio's inaugural first year as an industry partner with the American Society of Human Genetics, and so it's kind of fun for us as well. We get excited when we come to these conversations. It's where our customers are, and we want to meet them where they are. PacBio's mission is all about enabling the promise of genomics to better human health. And so we really think that's important because ASHG is such a valuable conference. Our customers come here, we want to be there. And we've already had really good conversations with the ASHG people. We had conversations around ASHG's priorities, the vision for the conference, and really essential topics like workplace diversity, getting more business and developing opportunities for people in genetics. But my favorite part is really giving back and engaging with the genomic community. And I think just fostering that relationship, giving back to that community, really engaging with them in a way really helps us understand their needs better and helps us form our strategies and align differently and better to give the customers and our community, genomics community, what they need. We've partnered with other groups as well, but what I really like about partnering with the ASHG group is that you bring other industry partners in as well. And so you can partner with them. They're leaders in their space, we're leaders in ours, and we can really talk about what the challenges are, what the trends are, and now we can all make better and more aligned decisions, again, in all support for the genomics community.
The Department of Genetics and Genomics was established in 2019. The purpose of the laboratory is to integrate research into the translational research. Not only they are focusing on the diagnosis of rare diseases, but developing the prevention of those genetic diseases.
To have the clinician scientist aligning with the affiliated teaching hospitals to serve the purpose of having a better genetic service for the UAE community at large and even the surrounding region.
We teach students how genetic makeup of each individual is affecting its treatment responses, and therefore the genetic information can be tailored for each patient and subsequently improve the outcomes.
A local program will provide counselors who are focused on the country need, on the regional need, cultural consideration, and they'll be equipped to fill the gap in the workforce.
As we look ahead to the next year, we are also looking ahead to some new faces preparing for new positions come January. Dr. Sarah Tishkoff, ASHG's President-elect, is joining us now in studio to discuss her plans for the upcoming year. Such a pleasure.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I am so excited to be president starting in January of the Society.
Congratulations as you assume the role of president of ASHG and take the helm. What are some key priorities that you would like to focus on?
I have a number of key priorities. So the first is that I want to make sure that the Society is welcoming and inclusive of all people, regardless of their background, their geographic origin, or their abilities. I also want to make sure that we're living up to the vision that people everywhere benefit from human genetics and genomics research. And in fact, I think it's really important that we increase diversity in human genetics and genomics research.
What do you think some of the biggest obstacles or challenges are right now that the genetics community face? Is advocacy one of them?
There are amazing opportunities. The technology has developed so rapidly that now we can sequence entire genomes, hundreds of genomes, in just days. But along with that comes some challenges. So one is to make sure that we're including diversity. As I said, that's really important. And the other is that we now have these massive data sets where we have very large, very complex data sets. We have to be developing novel computational methods, using AI to be able to analyze these large and complex data sets. And then lastly, we have to be developing and applying functional genomics approaches so that we can actually characterize what is this variation doing what is it doing, and how is it impacting both health and disease?
I want to talk about you for a minute. You hold a number of positions within ASHG over your amazing career. Any one in particular that you think has most helped you or prepared you to assume the role of president?
No, because I can't pick just one.
Don't be a kid.
But I'll just briefly just highlight some of them. As co-chair of the Professional Practice and Social Implications Committee, we had to identify and come up with guidance for a lot of the pressing issues that, particularly ethical issues that arise in the field of human genetics and genomics. I had the honor of being on the board of directors, and at that time I would say what my biggest achievement, what I felt most proud of, was playing a role in devising the strategic plan, or the strategic vision that we are still largely using today.
We've had a really great week here in Denver, so much incredible science. Anything in particular that stands out to you as a real highlight?
I can't pick just one. There have been a number of great presentations, but I particularly like the opening plenary abstract session. But to be perfectly honest, one of my favorite parts of this meeting is the poster sessions, because that's where you get to actually talk to people one-on-one. My biggest challenge there is I can never make it past like 1 to 3 rows.
Right. There's
because
so much.
Exactly, and I'm just stopping to talk with people. So I always look forward to that.
Well, we look forward to your next year, and thank you so much for making time to talk with us today. Best of luck.
Thank you, my pleasure.
IPG is a non-profit institute. For the patient, if they come to see us in the hospital or here, the consultation is free of charge, the analysis is fully reimbursed, and we can propose a psychosocial support, and it's very important for the region.
The core issues addressed by IPG focus on the investigation of a genetic basis to our hereditary conditions and the familial follow-up. We also conduct the prenatal testing in the context of fetal anomalies, which can impact health decisions. And additionally, in the context of cancer, we also propose the characterization of tumors and the search for genetic susceptibilities related to cancer.
As we wrap up a fantastic week here in Denver, ASHG President Dr. Bruce Gelb is here now in studio with some of his highlights from this year's annual meeting. Thanks for making the time with us today.
So glad to be here with you.
Well, what a great week it's been. For you personally, any key highlights or hits over this past week?
It's hard to know where to begin. I think for me, still, the fact that we're able to come together is a big thing. As president, of course, I got to put together the symposium that we had yesterday, and I think that it went really well. It's what I envisioned. A lot of people have said that was a wonderful thing. And I would say the award session that we had for the Lifetime Achievement Award, we conferred two separate individuals, not collaborators, and both very deserving. And there were not too many dry eyes in the house. They were both very moving in different ways, but that'll stay with me for a long time.
You're wrapping up your term as president at the end of the year. As you look back over your term, any key highlights or any specific initiatives that you want to mention?
As scientists, we depend on the professional staff that oversee our organization, and we went through a transition this year, bringing on Amanda Pearl as our new CEO, and then she had to acclimate and acculturate and learn about us and get us rolling. But we are now off and going on our strategic plan, and I feel very good that we have momentum. I think the board last year had very wisely decided to emphasize advocacy as a core area to push forward. We know that there's some concerns about NIH funding. We continue to push forward on our DEI agenda, which is a core value and an area of emphasis. We've had a lot of great stuff here in the meeting relevant to that. And we've just made the organizational decision to make the group that does that, which has been a task force, which implies sort of temporariness, into a standing, sort of forever committee. So we're excited about that.
You mentioned the younger scientists. That tees me up perfectly for my final question for you today. Advice that you would give to the next generation of geneticists?
as we've heard here at the meeting, I highlighted some of it, there's so much more work to do, and the technology is going to continue to improve, and I think the opportunities therefore are there, and we're depending on the next generation to take the ball and run with it, and I'm sure that they will. We have a lot of bright, energetic people who I'm super excited about.
So come on in, the water's warm.
You bet. You bet.
Well, Dr. Gelb, thank you so much for making time for us today, and congratulations on a successful term.
Thank you so much.
And with that, it's a wrap on ASHG 2024 and ASHG TV here in Denver. Thank you all for joining us here this week, and to all of our guests for all of the incredible and insightful research and work being done to realize the benefits of human genetics and genomics research for people everywhere. We may be wrapping up, but our content lives on. You can find the latest ASHG TV episode airing on the TVs here in the Convention Center, on the in-house channels at our local partner hotels, on the homepage of the ASHG meeting website, and on our social media channels. So make sure you like and subscribe to get all the ASHG TV content right at your fingertips. We hope you've had a great week. Thanks again for joining us here, and we can't wait to be back with you again next year as we say goodbye Blue Bear, hello Boston. Safe travels home, everyone.